So apparently my parents talk about a lot of heavy stuff on their podcast. Listen at your own discretion. Like, comment, subscribe, and share or whatever. Anyways, welcome to Sobriety.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I'm Ryan. This is Jess. We are sober as fuck. Before we get to today's guest, I do want to remind everybody to go to our website at safpodcast.com. You can check out all of our episodes from there. We also have some coaching, resources, blogs, merch, a little bit of everything. So make sure you check it out. Again, it's safpodcast.com. You can also check out the podcast on everywhere you get your podcast. Please make sure you like, subscribe, share, review, comment, all the damn things.
Yes, and we just celebrated a milestone, actually, and compared to some, maybe it's not that big of a deal, but it's a really fucking big deal to me, and I'm excited. We hit 2,000 followers on Spotify.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Or subscribers, excuse me. Subscribers.
Yeah, that's right.
And we got a fun little email being like, oh, congrats. You hit 2,000. We celebrate all the wins, which is a big deal.
It is a big
deal. It's a huge deal for us,
especially
I think.
Considering where we came from, where we're at now.
Yes.
Celebrating 100 episodes and 3 seasons.
And especially since you have a banging manager and producer and social media content creator and graphic designer. I mean, she just really...
I know you wanted a raise, but we need to probably talk about that.
Yeah. The joke is that I do all of those things.
That's right.
Every single one. And
Thank
as much as I complain that I'm tired, I also refuse to hand it over because it's
which is funny because we've actually talked about doing a little of that, and it's I'll do it.
I don't know. I'm scared somebody's going to screw it up. It's not them. It's me, right? I'm it's not
I'm the same way with certain things.
I'm just a control freak.
I get it.
I'll know. There needs to be a dating app for content creators.
Critique everything they do and be like, no, I would have done it differently.
I feel like it really will be
just done it myself.
Love at first sight though. When I find that person, I'll be like, oh my God, you're the one.
You're it.
You're the one.
But you'll still critique the shit out of them.
I mean, I'm not a bad boss. I was in management for 13 years. I think I was a fantastic boss. I don't know. I never worked for myself, so
you don't know.
There could be people
that's right.
Okay. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But yes, 2,000 subscribers on Spotify. Thank you so much. We celebrate all of the wins, and we're just so blessed and so grateful to have people who want to hear the crazy shit that we have to talk about.
That's right. And our guest.
And we have a really good one. I say this every time because they're all amazing, but I'll say it again. We have a really amazing guest today.
We do have really amazing.
Who is it?
Today's guest is Laura McKowen. She is an author, best-selling author. She's the CEO, founder of the Luckiest Club, which is really cool. I have a lot of friends that have joined that. Her book, We Are the Luckiest, which I have and have read actually a couple times. It was one of the first books I read when I got sober. Really changed my mindset on a lot of things. So it was really cool to be able to tell her thank you for that. She also has another book called Push Off From Here, which I also have, of course. And you'll be able to check those out on our Amazon store, which is really cool. We'll add those there. Yeah, I mean, she's just an amazing person. I can't wait for you to hear her story before she became the best-selling author, which is really cool.
I was going to say, we'll let her brag on herself. That's my favorite way to do it.
Please welcome to the show, Laura McKowen.
Hey,
Laura.
Hello.
How are you?
Y'all are very funny. That was delightful to listen to.
We've just been married for a very long
time. Just,
It's cute. I love it.
The secret sauce is that we never know what we're going to talk about on our intro. It's not scripted.
That's the way to do it.
We don't have a conversation like it used to be. What are we going to talk about? And I'm like, I don't know. Fuck it. Let's just do it. Right. So it's always just a little delightful surprise to us all. Thank you for being here today, Laura.
Uh-oh.
We're so excited to hear your story. First, tell us about your website, where people can find you. Of course, we're going to have your books on our Amazon storefront, but where else can you grab them?
Yeah, all of my work is on my website, which is my name. It's lauramckowen.com. I do most of my non-book writing, or all of it now, is on Substack. I have a Substack called Love Story, where I write about addiction and sobriety, of course, but a lot about relationships, emotional sobriety, the stuff that I'm doing, dealing with now. And the Luckiest Club, you all had mentioned, but that's the sobriety support community that I founded in 2020, and it's at theluckiestclub.com. So
nice. So you do all the things. A woman after my own heart.
She does it all.
We do all the
when
things.
you were saying all the things that you do for the show, I was like, oh, I know that place.
That's right.
I have been there.
Check,
I'm still
check.
there. Yeah.
It's a love-hate relationship, because I recognize that I need to hand some of this stuff over. Like, it's only sustainable for so long, but I don't want to. I just want to complain about it when I'm tired, but I don't
Exactly.
actually want a solution. Okay?
Exactly.
So I get it.
Well, Laura, so tell us your story. I mean, before you were this, amazing person in the sobriety space with the best-selling books, give us your story. Let us know who Laura was.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's always a little strange when someone's introducing me, because I would have never thought that I would be writing about this. Maybe I would have been a writer, although that also felt very far away. And like being an author felt like a fantasy dream that other people did. Not something I was qualified to do or thought that was possible for me. But here I am. So the real brief basics of my childhood: I was born and raised in Colorado. I, in a pretty normal middle class family, tiny town south of Denver, divorced parents, and a lot of drinking in both houses. It was, like, I'm assuming we're of the same generation, 80s and 90s, sort of feral. I just thought drinking is what adults did, and that's what I would eventually do. And even though there was a lot of over drinking, excessive drinking, both at my mom's side and with her and my stepfather's, there were multiple. And also on my dad's side, he got sober when I was 15. My dad did. And even so, it never flicked on my radar that would be a thing that would maybe apply to me. Like I guess it planted a seed that I would use later, but it just felt like something for other people. And I didn't really see that the behavior around me was excessive until much, much later. Honestly, until I went to get sober. It didn't occur to me in my 20s or 30s. I mean, once in a while I would go to friends' families' houses and notice that, like, they weren't drinking every day at 5:00, and they weren't throwing back multiple bottles of wine when they had dinner parties. And it was just a different energy and a different vibe. But for the most part, it just looked all the same, and not the same. It looked like most things looked, I think, like most families looked. So, but underneath there, starting from childhood and into my teens, I started to accumulate a lot of private sort of, I started to perform a lot. So pretty much when my parents got divorced, I would say that's when the biggest split occurred. And I started to hide how I actually felt and perform what I thought would make everything okay. Make my dad not upset or angry, make my mom feel like everything, that just to smooth things over. And I see that now as like the sort of big split. This is when I started to hide what was really going on with me and perform in a way that would make things easier for me and the people around me. And the problem with that, as we know, is it causes a lot of pain and internal friction and confusion. And enter high school, and I started to experiment with drinking a little bit, but I was an athlete, so I still had a healthy fear of it. Like it was important. Sports were important to me, and I didn't want to get kicked off the team, and you would. So I held back. I was also a little afraid of being out of control, and like I had some sort of sense of danger around the drinking, maybe because of my dad. But pretty quickly, like by the end of high school, I will never forget this moment, and I talk about it in my first book, where my mom and her then husband, my stepdad, who I adored, their marriage was not going well, and I knew it. I was having a lot of problems with my dad. Like there was a lot going on there, and I just didn't have anyone to talk to about it. I was just internalizing all these things. I had disordered eating. My family owned a restaurant where there was a lot of drinking. I was leaving to go to college. I had some of the normal insecurities and fears that teenagers have, but I feel like mine were just amplified by my own sensitivity, really, and the fact that I was so ashamed to say how I actually felt. So there I was at 17 with a pretty bad eating disorder, absolutely no coping skills, no healthy coping skills. I had just finished playing sports, so my athletic career was over. So all that like healthy channeling that went into that was gone. I'm leaving for college, and I was a ball of anxiety. And I had started to realize, like, when you drink, it just sort of washes it away immediately. And at my graduation party the summer before I went to college, I served myself. I could drink openly at that point, like I was allowed to. The sort of fake, like, oh no, it's not time, you can't do it. They were like, whatever, she's going to college. So I was allowed to, at the bar, serve myself drinks. And I poured these ridiculously strong Bacardi Limon and Diet Cokes. Ooh. Gross. But that's what I was drinking then. And it was maybe the second or third one, so I was pretty buzzed. And I remember pouring this particular one and taking this giant sip of it. And all of this anxiety and all of these questions that I had and all of these fears and all of these confusions were just gone. Like whatever I walked into the party with an hour before, it was gone. And I remember thinking, like, if I can just stay this way, everything will be okay. And I remember that feeling so well. And I remember it feeling both emboldening, like I can do this. This is my like secret weapon. And also there was an edge of danger there. I knew it, because how was I going to continue to do this forever? But I did treat it. So from that point on, I did treat alcohol like it was what carried me and buoyed me. And it was like, people say that, yeah, this was like my best friend, but it really was. It was this thing that I used in a million different ways to allow myself to connect and feel safe and have fun and feel, sexual and feel desired. And that sort of, I knew also at that time that wasn't a normal feeling to have. Like I could tell that other people didn't have the same need around drinking. And in college, I really started to take notice of that. Like I knew that I needed it differently. I drank differently than other people. Like there was a need around it that was not the same as other people. But of course, I never spoke any of that out loud. I would never. And it's amazing. Like Carolyn Knapp in Drinking a Love Story captures so well how you can both know something and not know it at the same time. How you can know something completely keep it from yourself. Like the mind is a fascinating thing. Mm-hmm. So fast forward through, I graduated, moved to Boston, I was delighted that the crowd I fell into in the professional world drank more than we did in college. It was like, oh, now we have a little bit of money. We have like no, family stuff. I was far away from my family. I was basically like, we just got to do whatever we wanted, and I had no kids yet or anything. So it was like, oh, these people go hard. They're just like me. I went right into first I worked in at startups, which is a crazy environment. And then after business school, I worked in advertising agencies, which is, let's just say I started watching Mad Men again. And it is an accurate description and portrayal of how much alcohol is used. And I loved that about it. I met the man who I would marry in my late 20s. And we had a baby in like a couple years later, my daughter. And at that point, between getting married and having my daughter, my drinking really changed. So whether it was hormonal, like I went through a really bad period of postpartum depression. There was a lot of stuff going on with me and him at that time. Like it was right after the recession. The recession had hit us really hard. He couldn't find a job. We had hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. And I just started, the drinking stopped working the way it had before. Like whatever relief I used to get didn't seem available to me anymore. And so I drank more and I drank differently. And are you guys parents?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
We're like, we know.
Oh yeah. So, it's different when you drink as a parent.
Yep.
All of a sudden, like the equation is just entirely different. And yet it did not I did not slow down because of that. I drank more. You just don't get the recovery time that you used to. And so my marriage fell apart in 2012. And between 2012 and 2013, that was extremely dark. Like the wheels just came off my drinking. He was really my only governing force. He was the only one who really saw what it was like. Otherwise, I was very high functioning. I mean, my friends, I did drink differently than my friends, but we all were in our 20s and we were kind of messy. But I was succeeding professionally. Like I just kept getting promotions. I was really good at my job. I was running marathons. Few people from the outside would be able to tell what was going on. And yet, as soon as my husband left, the cracks started to show. So I got a DUI. I almost lost my job. Got some big warnings. And I slowly started to see, actually it wasn't slow, it was over the course of a year. It was like the slide was really fast, that maybe drinking was the problem. Like maybe it wasn't all the outside circumstances. Like maybe the drinking was the problem. And then I had what would be sort of my rock bottom, even though it wasn't the end of my drinking, is in July of 2013. I went to my brother's wedding in Colorado, and I brought my daughter with me. It was just me and her. Her dad and I were separated at that point, and she was a flower girl, and I was one of the bridesmaids. And that night, I left her alone in our hotel room overnight because I was blacked out, and I had spent the night somewhere else with someone I did not know in the hotel. It was as horrific as you might imagine as a parent. And I woke up to texts and phone calls from my mother and my brother. My daughter had found her way to them and was safe. But I was horrified, traumatized, mortified, right? It was it was the worst thing that had happened. And despite all the consequences of my drinking before then, I just still never thought I would put her in danger. And so, and I was so upset that it happened, but I was almost more upset that I got caught. Like, my mom knew this wasn't a thing I could sweep under the rug. And the fact that it upset me that I had been caught scared the shit out of me. And it forced me to start to try to get sober. So after that, I went to my first AA meeting. That was the thing I knew to do. I only knew like 2 sober people. That's what they had done. When my dad got sober when I was 15, he went to AA. My college roommate had gone there. And so I went to this meeting in Boston. It was like 12 people. It was all women. It was awful. It was really hot. I just went in there and I sobbed the whole time. And I hated it. Like, I wasn't like, oh, thank God, I'm free, I'm home, I can settle into this now. I was pissed. I was devastated. I did not want to give up drinking. I did not want to let go of what I thought was, I just thought that sobriety would be this terrible version of life. Like, I didn't believe any of the things that these people were saying. And at the same time, I knew I couldn't keep going as I had. I didn't want to lose my daughter. So I went searching for for the next year between 2013 and September of 2014, which is when I finally got sober. I kept searching for this third door. This is what I call the third door, where you're not, I wasn't drinking. Like, the door 1 is to continue drinking as I was. Couldn't do that. Door 2 is sobriety. Didn't want that. There had to be a third option. Spoiler, of course, there's not. And it was really hard to accept that. Really, really hard. When I finally got sober in September of 2014, it wasn't some big, terrible night. It was like so many other people experienced, just another insult of drinking when I said I wasn't going to drink, and waking up with this absolutely crushing anxiety. And I had to bring my daughter to a soccer game, and my mom had a 60th birthday party that night. And I just thought all day, if I feel like this for one more day, it's going to kill me. Like, I can't do it. And that was the end for me. And I stopped promising myself at that point that I would never drink again, because I had done it so many times and had gone against my own word so many times. I was just so sick of myself. And I just started saying, I'm not going to do it today. And if tomorrow I want to, then I'll figure that out. And in that year before, I had gone to a lot of meetings. I had started to write about my experience. I had started to even talk about my experience, like publicly, sharing a little bit on social media. And I had started to make a lot of friends. And I started to begin to glimpse what might be possible in sobriety. And the main thing that I started to glimpse, aside from all the like good stuff that happens, like you're not hungover all the time. I was doing really good at work. You physically feel better. Wow, what a concept to wake up in the morning and not have absolutely crushing shame about stupid shit you said and did the night before. What a concept. I started to glimpse some of that stuff, and that was all wonderful. But the thing that really propelled me was this idea that maybe I could be an author, that maybe I could write. And Augustine Burroughs says that not drinking is not enough. You have to find something that you want more than drinking. And for me, that was it. Of course I wanted, like, I wanted to keep my daughter, and I wanted to, like, that mattered too. But I don't know, man. A lot of people don't have kids and still that's not enough. A lot of people have a marriage they don't want to lose and still that's not enough. A lot of people have a job they don't want to lose and still that's not enough. For whatever reason, this vocation that was pulling at me, and finally doing it a little bit, like taking all this energy that had been inside of me all along and using it to write, was the thing. And once I got sober, I really just started to run with it. And into like 6 or 7 months into sobriety, Holly Whitaker and I started a podcast, like what you guys are doing now. And this was in 2015. So there were not many podcasts, and there were like no sobriety podcasts. There were 2 that I knew of. And they were both done by men. As far as I knew, there might have been others, but like podcasting was very new. People knew about like WTF with Mark Maron and Radio Lab. That was the only thing. And then most people are like, podcast? What is a podcast? Yeah. Now, amazingly, incredibly, gratefully, there are hundreds of sober podcasts and all kinds and thousands of accounts on Instagram and movements and books and all of this. But back then there weren't. And so that podcast was really special to me and to her. And it allowed us to start to try to verbalize what it was like to be a woman, what it was like to be a mother for me and get sober, what it was like to, I did do AA, but I also questioned a lot about AA, and Holly didn't want anything to do with AA. So those narratives were different at that time. And it started to get really popular. And through that podcast, I started to connect with authors, like my heroes, these people that I never thought I could be connected to. And I was writing, like, I look back and I have no idea how I was writing so much. I was writing prolifically, like all the time. And I was also working full time at an advertising agency still. I quit that in 2016 to take a shot at this sort of what I'm doing now. My first book, We Are the Luckiest, came out in 2020 in January, right before the pandemic. And and now, and I founded the Luckiest Club later that year, totally on accident. It wasn't something I had planned to do. Like a lot of ideas or businesses or whatever, it was born out of the pandemic. And then in 2023, my second book came out, and that really came from these 9. Well, it's the epigraph that's in We Are the Luckiest. And there are these like 9 things that I wanted to hear. Like people would always ask me, what should I tell the person I love who's addicted? What should I do? And I would say, like, just give them these 9 things, right? Because they were what I needed to hear. And then they became sort of the backbone of We Are the Lucky of the Luckiest Club. I'm sorry. And we would say them in every meeting. And it became clear over time that they needed to be explained a little bit. Like, what does it mean? The first one is it's not your fault. And then the second one is it is your responsibility. So like, what does that mean actually? To go into them a little bit more deep. So that's what the second book is. And that came out in 2023. And now it's 2026. And I'll be 12 years sober this year. And my daughter is just turned 17. And she was 5 when I got sober. So that's the condensed version, but
it's an incredible story.
It also felt really long. I don't know.
No,
I don't know if you wanted all of that. But yeah, it's been, being 12 years sober is very different than being 1 or 2 years sober. Like someone very early on partner at the agency I was working at. He was one of the few people I knew that was sober. And he had like 20 something years when I was going to him, freaking out and terrified. And I was like, what is it like? Like, are you happy? Tell me. This is not terrible. He was like, he laughed, but he said, first it gets better, and then it gets worse, and then it just gets different. And it's still the best explanation for what it's actually like. It's just different life. Better doesn't even describe it. Like, of course it's better in the sense that I wouldn't even be alive, for starters.
Mm-hmm.
But none of what I just described to you would be possible either. I would never have come into writing. I would never have written 2 books. I would never have founded a community. I would not have a relationship with my daughter. I just bought a house for the first time last fall. That would have never happened. Like, there's all those things. And then there's the also internal stuff that you can't even describe. How, like, I actually, most days, am pretty peaceful. Not that I don't have problems. I've had a lot of life stuff happen, and I've gone through a lot of painful things, but I don't wake up with a bunch of shame. I haven't wondered what I said or did the night before in like almost 12 years. I do feel like my life has purpose, and especially coming into the work that I was able to do has been an extraordinary gift. So,
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you very much for your story. I loved listening to it. I feel like you could read the ingredients on a bag of potato chips.
I feel like you could like write a book about it and have like a website and like a community of people.
But a few things you talked about that I definitely resonate with a lot of your story. I've had sober friends, I've talked to sober people, and the way you described it gets so wonderful. And I think of that my first year, it was all about milestones and excitement and this new life that I haven't had in 30 years because I just wasted away drinking. And then year 2 was like, oh, fuck. Now I've got the hard work starts, you're working on yourself and mindset shifts and changes in your life and friends and family. And I spoke about this a month or 2 ago on the podcast. I spoke about it a few times, and I'm bringing it up again. The amount of peace that I feel now, I'll be 3 years next week. And the amount of peace that I have now, knowing, as you say, I'm waking up with no hangover, no regrets. Honesty has been a huge thing for me, living an honest life. I sleep better because I don't have all that weight on me anymore, as I'm sure you were the same way. You just, all that's gone. And the love that you have for people around you, community, family, the things you value, all that changes. And, one thing you talked about in your book with the mindset change of we are the luckiest because like yourself, I would think, especially in that first year, every once in a while, it's like, man, they're lucky because they can drink, they can have a drink or two and get away with it. In reality, no, it's bullshit. We're lucky because we don't have to deal with that. You don't know what they're like behind closed doors, like we were, or sitting at home drinking or blackout nights and wondering what you did the night before. We truly are the luckiest. It took me a long time to realize that, but that was a great mindset shift that I had in reading your book. So thank you for that. But yeah, everything I resonated 100% with what you said. And it's a wonderful story. I love it. I hate we had to go through that to get to, me hearing your story and you telling it. But no, it's been a wonderful ride. And now, like you said, we're definitely at peace.
The honesty piece, just to tie to what you just said, the honesty piece, because I forgot to like thread that needle at the end, like what I mentioned about splitting into sort of two people when I was a kid, the person that I was on the inside and the person I was on the outside, and how I was performing and doing whatever I could to make the people around me what I thought was happier. In basic terms, just people pleasing. But eventually I had many different versions of me out there in the world. And what sobriety has allowed me to have is just one version, right? Of course, there's still a performative part of me. Of course, there's still, I'm not who I am here with you as I would be with my daughter. That's not what I mean. But I don't have secrets. I don't have, honesty was the thing. It was the hard, and it was something I had to learn. And it seems like that's confusing for people. Like it should be more of a switch. You're either being honest or you're not. But when you have been performing your whole life, like a lot of us do, we get to be, my friend Laura Cathcart Robbins said, I got to be a professional actor, right? In addiction. You have to learn how to tell the truth. You have to learn that the truth actually brings you closer to love, actually brings you closer to the things you want, not further away. That you can tell the truth and you're not going to vaporize into a flame of shame. You're not going to, people actually we actually gravitate to honesty. We do, or at least the right people do. So it's been a learning process. And that, I think, above all is the core of why we have so much peace in sobriety. Is if we don't have to be 10 versions. We aren't keeping stories. You would have had a different version of me and understood what I did last night much differently than my other friends. And I had to keep all of those versions straight. And you multiply that by 7 days a week, and then 4 weeks a month, and then years and years and years. And oh my God, the mental gymnastics of just that alone, right? So I just wanted to thread that because I think it's so important for people.
Yeah. That honesty component, people struggle with that even who don't suffer with addiction. That's the thing. So addiction just allows it to be easier, because you think that you're drowning out that guilt. That's the thing about alcohol or drugs or anything, is you live under this falsehood that you are numbing out, but you're numbing out everything. You're numbing out your decision making, your critical thinking skills, your relationships. It's almost like a chemo treatment, right? Like you can't just target the bad cells. You end up wiping out everything.
Yes.
And so when you get sober, you're talking about the honesty and about who you are. There is this transformative period that happens, and I think it continues to happen forever, because you start questioning who you are, why you built your life the way it is. For me, and I've talked about this a million times too, mine was more mental health related, but when I first started that journey, it was, is this my favorite color? Do I actually like this food? Do I like my hair this way? Do I like it? Like the smallest little things, because I 100% didn't know what I was choosing or what I was choosing, whether it be for my mom or for society or any of those things. And I think that a lot of people who grew up in our generation, we were taught that if you do these things and it's on paper and it looks this way, then you'll be happy and successful. And I get it. But then unfortunately we were the ones that were like, no, that's not how that happens at all. Because you had a lot of performative behavior whenever you were a child, and I know that I certainly did. So it does create this identity crisis, right? You're like, did I do these things because it's something that I wanted, or did I do them because I was just on autopilot, right? And then you said, you were an athlete and you didn't really get in trouble in high school. And I say that a lot too, is you go out into the world and you have all this freedom, and then alcohol is celebrated, right? We have movies about going to college and going to frat parties and the guy puking in the front yard and puking rally and, and then we have shows like Mad Men who, where cocktail hour is a real thing, and you network, and all of these amazing things happen. So I want to call them 9 pillars. I know that you don't refer to them as 9 pillars, but same thing, where it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. That's life in general. Like nobody asked to be born. You don't get to choose your situations. And honestly, nobody knows if they're going to be an addict until it's too late. Right. But no matter what, it is your responsibility. It is your responsibility, what you put out into the world, but also what you receive in. And I know that this is for anybody, but I'm going to speak specifically for women just for a second. First of all, before I say this, thank you for sharing your story about your daughter. People really don't give enough credit to people, but women who admit these things out loud, because we already have this stigma and shame, right? Like, I used to think that a powerful man looked like a guy in a suit in, like a cigar bar with like a brandy in his hand or whatever. And a powerful woman is someone who is anything except for those things.
Yes. Right.
So we have had so many women share stories about like, drinking even during pregnancy, or drinking and driving and these things. And nobody ever asks a man when they're out drinking, like, where are your kids tonight? Who's watching the kids? Nobody ever, 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 ever says that. So let me say that it's amazing that you tell that story. But also, you said something that really hits home, that you're like, you would think that doing that with my daughter or hurting my family or hurting the people around me would have been enough. And it's not that it wasn't enough, but it wasn't it. Right. We talk about an it factor. It wasn't it. And I think so many people, but especially women, will feel that because we become these roles, right? Like, I'm a sister, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm all of these things. I need something that I do for me. This has to be for me. I have to reclaim my identity, because I can't be a mother, sister, wife. I can't be anything if I'm not the rawest form of me. And I think a lot of people, again, like for men, you get yourself sober and it's for you, and that's great. But for women, like, how can you hurt your child you carried in your body and that not be enough? Well, because I'm still me. And I may not be articulating this very well, but because I am still a human being outside of all of these roles that I play. I felt a lot of that, like when I went back to work after having our daughter, right? I'm like, I need something that is just mine.
Yes.
That like really stimulates me, that I'm passionate about, and that I go to, and I am not a wife or a mom or anything other than me. Once upon a time, I was just me. Right. Yep. And I also think it's such an important thing that you teach your daughter, because in or out of sobriety or drinking or anything, it's so easy to lose that identity, especially when life catches up to you. And so I really like that you hit on that you told the story about your daughter, but you also said, like, I woke up and all of a sudden it wasn't, oh, I'm going to promise myself to get sober. It's, I'm not going to drink today. I'm not promising anything. I'm not giving hypotheticals. All I know is right now in this moment, I'm not going to drink. Yes. And whatever comes in the next second, I'm going to deal with. And that definitely makes things more palatable, right? Because it's not about being perfect. I still fuck shit up every day.
If it worked to do that, I would have done it, right?
Exactly.
If it worked to say, I'm never going to do it again, that would have been great. It just didn't work. For some people, that works. Like some people, everybody's different. But for me, it had to be just keeping it in the day.
Same.
Forever sounded, I don't even know what that meant.
Yes.
What does that even mean?
It was so
depressing to me. Like, what do you mean I'm not going to be able to go to Italy and have wine? What do you mean I'm not going to go to Ireland? Or I don't know, what the fuck, like drink a Guinness. What do you mean I'm never going to go to another wedding and drink? What do you mean? If I get married again, I'm not going to have champagne. Like, what do you mean? All of those filled me with such despair. Like,
well, that's where your identity was. That's like someone looking at you and being like, you don't get to be yourself anymore. You don't know what that life looks like.
Right.
You know, we've talked about there's a grieving process to that too, you know? And yeah, it's something that becomes a normal part of your life, but it's because you've stripped yourself down to the most basic fundamental parts and you're trying to figure out who you are. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you realize like, I don't really like doing the things and going to the places and hanging out with the people that I did when I was drinking. I kind of just fooled myself into thinking it like, you know, I really like being at home and boring and hanging out with my family. Like that's really what I enjoy do. Or some people, you know, they're like, I really do love my job and I am a workaholic and I really do want to commit to that. And you're so right. It's different for everybody, but it's whatever you think sobriety is going to be. And maybe this relates to everything. It's so different, right? You have to go into, if you go into it with this like grand plan to forever, you're setting yourself up for failure.
I think that's what I did at first. I had this, you know, I'm never going to drink again, never going to drink again. And then it kind of became.
Well, it's like you're trying to convince yourself of it too.
You know, you're future tripping. So it's like, you know, oh God, can I really, you know, what's going to happen in a year? What's going to happen? No, you just got to, and it's such cliche, you know, one day at a time, but it really is. You know, you just take that day and soon enough the days just add up before you know it, you're where you're at.
It just becomes who you are. I call it the puzzle theory because I'm ADHD. And so a lot of people love puzzles or coloring books, but for me, I hate them because I look at them and I'm like, it's just this big thing that and I'm also OCD. So like if I start it, what happens if I can't finish it? What happens if something happens? I can't stand not completing that task, right?
Yeah.
And it's that same thing. You see this big insurmountable thing and you're like, well, I'm just not even going to do it at all. Because if I don't do it at all, it's not disappointing.
Yeah. No, that's right. I mean, it's also just a sort of a classic ancient spiritual wisdom, right? It ties to Buddhism. It ties to a lot of aspects of Judaism and mindfulness and being where you are. Like not the only thing that you can do is this moment. Sure, make plans, you know, learn from your past, but the only place where you actually have agency is right now. And what it's also saying when we accept that, or when we do that, is that we don't have control over anything else. Right. And so that's why it worked for me, is I don't have control over what happens tomorrow yet. It's all imagining, and I definitely don't know what's going to happen in 3 months or 6 months or 5 years or whatever. I do, and imagining that future at that time when I was trying to get sober, imagining a future 5 years and, you know, later where I was not drinking just made me feel depressed because I had not lived into the experience of it being better or good. So the only thing I could control was what was I doing in the next hour? And if I could make it to the end of the day without drinking, I had enough data and experience to show that would be worth it. Like I would wake up the next day and it would be worth it. It might not feel great at the time. It probably wouldn't. Some days I hated it. Every Friday for a couple years, I was pissed because my body clock was going off. I was like, I just hated it. I was like angry. And eventually though, I you know, the new neural pathways formed, and Friday didn't mean pulling the ripcord and drinking anymore. It just meant other things. I haven't thought of a Friday as a time to like go drinking. My body the alarm hasn't gone off around 3 p.m. on a Friday in a long time. But what I imagined at that time was like, I'm going to have to fight this feeling that I feel now. I'm going to have to fight this forever.
Yeah.
So, and I couldn't do it forever. I knew I could do it for a day. Right. And then if it came tomorrow, I could do it that day. Right. But it was also this psychological trick of not making a promise, like that I would deal with the problem tomorrow, the problem of not drinking. I would just do what I could today and deal with the problem of tomorrow when I actually had some agency.
Before you say what you're going to say, I have one comment. Yeah. So that's something else, right? Like nothing is ever one thing or the other. multiple things exist in one time at one time. Always.
Yeah.
So I also like, we're talking about living in the moment. And I think it's really important what you said. Like, of course you need to plan for your future. Like no one is like, I almost kind of hate the saying, live today like you're dying, live every moment as though it's your
That sounds
last.
exhausting.
Right. I'm like, okay, I love the intention behind those statements. I get it. But please don't live like you're dying today. Like I would not make the smartest decisions if I knew I was dying tomorrow. Like not knowing when you're going to go is a blessing.
Yes.
Of course, plan for things like that's just logical. But I think the whole point of it is don't get stuck too much in the what ifs. I mean, you will literally what if yourself, to death.
Yeah. It's
and
misery.
So you just live today and plan for tomorrow, but that's just it. You just plan. It's not a promise. It's not a guarantee. Mm-hmm. It's simply just a rough sketch of this is where I'd like to be. And then you focus on what you can do today in this moment. And some days it's not even focusing on what you can do to get closer to that. Some days it's just focusing on what you can do so that you just don't get further away. So you just stay right here.
Yes. It's like, how do I just not drink?
Right. Yeah. It doesn't have to be progressive every day.
No. And some days that's all I did. I think a lot of people feel like I'm going to be so much better. What I equate this to is like any major loss. If you went through a major loss today, a family member, dear friend, someone that's a really integral part of your life, you would be thrust into coping in the moment for how you're going to get through that next day, how you're going to get through the next hour, what's the next thing that needs to be done. And you would do that through your healing until you are on the other side. And then you know what happens on the other side of that? Your perspective has probably changed. Your life has changed. You feel differently. You probably behave differently. Maybe you see your relationships differently. Maybe your relationships change completely because you have a new perspective. But getting sober is also a major loss.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, big one.
It shouldn't be thought of any differently. And so you are, of course it's going to, like, the only way to do it is to just do that day. You're building a new life. You're grieving an old one. You're learning new skills. There's so many things at once. Mm-hmm. Very overwhelming. And so of course it should just go the same way that I tracked that grief process. Like, one day at a time until you've got your legs under you. And then you can start focusing on bigger things.
I was going to say, figuring out where you're going to go with those legs, okay? But you got to build them first.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And one thing we're talking about, overwhelm, and that's something I wanted to ask you about, now versus kind of when you were drinking, because I know you stay busy with, your writing and the Luckiest Club and everything. How do you handle that overwhelm now versus when you were drinking?
Oh, it just feels like two completely different animals. Mm-hmm. The overwhelm of in my drinking days I was just cleaning up disasters.
Yeah.
Like every day was just disaster cleanup. I was never making real, true progress on anything. It was like, how do I, a typical morning is, well, I'm probably waking up late, or I woke up at 3:00, right? With the racing thoughts and the anxiety and the what the fuck did I do? So I've already got some messes to clean up, texts that I sent that I shouldn't have sent, things that I might have said, not recalling the whole night. So I've already got this like cloud of cleanup, right? Then I have to get to work. My brain hurts. I'm exhausted. So what might have been like a day to get ahead and sort of lead just becomes a day to do the most, just get through. Right. And then I come home and I've got to take care of my daughter. probably somewhere in the day, this happened on a monthly basis, my phone got shut off because I forgot to pay the bill, right? So I'm dealing with that disaster cleanup. And then maybe I forgot to pay another bill. And then I'm dealing with my checking account being overdrawn. And then, I get home and there's no food in the fridge because I was too hungover on the night before to go grocery shopping like I had planned. And so we're going to get takeout. And then bath time is pushed out too late. She's overtired. And so I'm impatient and shitty. And I'm also still hungover and I'm craving a drink. And, I'm just going to fuck it. I'm just going to let myself drink. So I have a couple drinks and then I'm completing the same Groundhog Day cycle again and again. That's what overwhelm looks like. It's like everything. I'm just whack-a-mole trying to put pieces into place and nothing is ever really stabilizing. That's how my days were when I was drinking. And that's a pretty good day. Yeah. Right? Like that was not too bad.
There are a lot of people listening that's like, is that not normal?
That's right.
Is that not every day? Yeah.
No, it's not normal.
Even in sobriety, you have those days.
Oh, I'm overwhelmed
but the difference,
sometimes. Yeah.
But the difference is you've learned to sit in it and be like, okay, this is where I'm at today. What can I do with that?
It's they don't even feel comparable. Like it's like playing a game with a severe deficit versus playing a game with a clear head and like a cup of coffee. Like it's two different games completely. So yes, I get overwhelmed, of course. Like life is hard. I've got a lot of things happening. I've gone through some big losses. Like it's not that you don't get overwhelmed, you don't experience things deeply. If anything, it's more. The feelings are harder because you feel them. And there's no buffer, but it's the foundation. It's just entirely different.
You're two completely different people. Yeah. I feel that too.
And just because you get sober doesn't mean that the shit goes away.
I mean that's the only guarantee in life.
You approach it and deal with it complete opposite. I mean, just so much different. Like you said, like, you're clear headed.
And the only guarantee in life is that shit's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Right?
I know.
Plans will never work out.
Yeah. I was reading this, I was listening to Sam Harris, who I really love. And I listened to his waking up app, and there's these little reflections. Like every night before bed, I set the timer for 30 minutes and it just rotates through like highlights of all the conversations that he's had. And there was this one, and this was like 2 nights ago. And he was recounting this conversation that he had with a friend where Sam walked in, they were having lunch or something, and Sam walked in and he was bitching about all the problems that he had that day. Like something happened with his car, and then something else was going wrong at work. And one of his kids like had thrown up that morning, or I don't know, whatever, just normal life stuff. And his friends are like, yeah, I can see why that would be, that's hard. And the punchline was basically the friend, in the way that they spoke to him, made him realize like there's never going to be a day where you don't have problems to solve. That is the feature of being a human. Sometimes there's more, sometimes there's less, sometimes they're bigger, sometimes they're smaller, sometimes they're catastrophic, but they're always there. Like that's what we do. We wake up and we solve problems. So they were there when you weren't drinking, or when you were drinking, and they were way worse.
Right.
It felt like you were dealing with them, or that you were making the stress go away, but no.
And to what you said earlier, you don't have control over any of those things that happen. You hit a pothole and you get a flat tire. You get in a car accident. Your kid pukes all over you, and you have like the most important meeting at work today. I mean, people die. I don't mean to bring it that low, but my mom died 2 years ago. That's just part of life. And it's not to say that's part of life, get over it. It's those things are going to happen. And for some people, it happens sooner rather than later. And for others, they get through most of their life unscathed until it does happen, but it's going to happen. And you're so right. They would have those integral pieces. They're going to happen whether you're drinking or not. You know, it's like, do you go to bed with the dirty kitchen and wake up and it's still there tomorrow? And so you have to do it. And so you have to take time out of your day or get up a little early because you have a whole other mess coming? Or do you get it done tonight so that tomorrow you're able to face it? And with drinking, it's that you just never clean the dirty kitchen, and then you make the mess on top of it.
Having a hole in the bottom of your cup all the time.
That's right.
Yes.
You never get full.
No,
it's crazy town.
And you just keep filling it up, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
and when it's full before it all leaks out, you're like, this is amazing. This is so good. It feels good. There's a payoff, right? But it empties out every time.
Yep.
Yeah, it's false dopamine. Yeah, and you're so right. You don't look at it with the same brain because you're not that same person anymore. It's not that like you're necessarily better at handling the stress. I don't know that it's a better or worse. It's just you're different. You're like,
I think you're better though. I mean,
you accept that this is part of life.
Yes.
And you're not reactive, you're responsive.
Yes.
And I think that's a big thing
hopefully
too.
More of the time. Yeah.
Right. Nobody's perfect. Okay. I
like classic example, the other night I was having I had a really nice Saturday and like put together all these chairs for my backyard and was hanging out with this guy that I'm dating, watching a movie, and my daughter was at her soccer game and I was like, oh, this is such a peaceful day. It's so nice. And then she called me because she hit a fire hydrant and like she was fine, but she is a new driver and she tore the shit out of her car. And so at 9:00 at night in the rain, I have to go get her. And then that changed everything that was going to happen the next day, yesterday. Right. And it sounds like the most obvious thing that we're talking about, but I'm saying it because it was not obvious to me. I think we genuinely think we will reach a place where there's no problems.
No.
Like we're surprised every fucking day.
That's
oh
right.
my God. I can't believe this is happening. It's like ridiculous. It's funny. We're all like Dory. We're like, can you imagine?
That's right.
That another problem has struck.
It's true. And
but it's like, oh, this is like the problem is that I think I'm not supposed to have problems.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because and here's the thing, you want normal problems. I mean, because it is that struggle, it is that overwhelm that makes you so happy, right? They are reciprocal. It's like the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. I don't want to be indifferent.
No.
I don't want to not feel. I want to get hurt when bad things happen. And I want to be happy when great things happen because it reminds me that I'm human and that I'm still alive and present. And that life is worth living. And I think that when you're in the thralls of addiction or mental health, that's the scariest part, right? Is that you're like, I don't know if I really care if I wake up tomorrow because you have numbed yourself to the point of indifference.
Yeah.
Where it's just, I mean, I've heard more than one person say it, but in active addiction, they're like, death doesn't sound like terrible.
Totally.
And that's scary.
Yeah.
But in recovery and in sobriety, it's not that those things aren't scary. It's just that you're like, no, but I want to live. Like I want to go pick my daughter up when she gets in a car accident. I want to be able to be there for her. I want to be able to be stressed out about the dishes or about work. Like I want to feel all those things. Like feeling is kind of amazing. It's kind of like horribly amazing, like
horribly amazing. You should make merch that says that.
Yes. It's like, I kind of love it because it reminds me that I'm choosing to be here. And I think the difference too is it's a stress that you choose. You don't choose for it to happen, but you're choosing for that life and accepting that this is what comes along with it. And then some days you're like, you don't do the dishes.
That's right.
And you don't take a shower
times.
and you're like, that's okay. I'm just going to get back in bed and tomorrow I'll get it done. But I think that in early recovery, it's so important that you do have that structure. It's like I always say, you have to learn the language and the grammar before you're allowed to play with it, right? Because it has to be that you're intentionally playing with it and that you just don't know the right way to do it. Because now like you're going to be 3 years sober. There are days where you're like, I think today is just going to be one of those days where I don't do much of anything.
That's okay.
But isn't that a different choice than like I'm hungover and so I can't?
Yes.
Wow, it's wild. Like the first time I called in sick from work and I was genuinely sick, not hungover, I was like, wow, I don't feel terrible. I don't feel guilty. I don't feel like I'm lying because I'm not. Yeah.
All the mental gymnastics.
The guilt. That's the biggest one too. I don't feel guilt. Like I'm not choosing nothing because I feel like it's my only option. I'm choosing it because I need it, because I need the nothingness right now. And those are two different things too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Laura, before we get you out of here, and again, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Of course. Thank you.
Great to meet you and hear your story.
Yeah.
One thing we always ask all of our guests is for you to think back to your old drinking days and give us an old funny drinking story. Just kind of tie it up in a bow.
I did warn you.
I know you did. And I've been like, it's in the back of my mind this whole time. And I'm like, I don't know. There were so many stories. So it's like, which one do I pick? Okay, this is just kind of a crazy one. It's like,
I love it.
Who does this? When I was in the spring break of my senior year of college, my girlfriends and I decided we were going to go to South Padre Island, but we're going to drive there. So this is March in Colorado. And I had a little Honda Civic and we packed us all in there and took off down south towards Texas. And I wasn't drinking in the car, but definitely, I'm sure, hungover. We hit an awful snowstorm and I got into a really bad accident, like swerved, didn't flip the car, but like swerved, hit a guardrail really hard, like really banged up my car. Two of my friends were sleeping in the back. I remember they woke up just like, what? And we were like, we are not stopping this road trip. So with my car really fucked up, we kept driving. And when I don't even know how we got there. Like, I don't even know. But when and I think the motivation behind that was like, we're going to go drink our faces off and I want to get there, and we did for those few days or whatever. And this is actually a really bad story. I think you have to strike this because it's not a drunk story. This is just like, how did I even get home? I don't remember. Really? But this is just one of those classic, like, who the fuck does that? A drunk college kid.
That's
who watches a lot of MTV Spring Break. I was going to say that, like
it's
they did a story
like this. Yeah, but it wasn't. I don't know that this sounds so lame, but I don't know that I have stories that I look back and that I think are, oh my God, that's so hilarious. Like, for some reason, all of them are tinged with just this cringe for me.
Cringe, yeah.
I think it's like that for a lot of people.
Lot of those.
Like, I'm not like, oh, that was actually just so great. No, it was also really sad. Or like I was doing drugs in the background. Or I was like,
I
don't know. Is that a bad answer?
I personally really like the spring break one.
Okay.
Because maybe I'm just a visual person, but I can like visualize you and your friends driving in a beat up Civic, and Texas
and
is
the tires
like,
wobbling, trying to get
and the tire was wobbling. Yeah,
there you go. I can see it.
Yeah. I mean, like, and Texas is like the biggest state. Like, you drive and you're like, where are we, Texas? And then 2 days later, you're like, where are we, Texas?
Sounds like the script of Road Trip. I mean, it's just like, you're on that destination's there, and by God, you're gonna fucking make it.
I don't know how we got home.
Look,
we couldn't have driven my car, but my car made it back. I don't know, man.
It's also a testament to like I do think back and think, how in the world am I alive? Like, how did I not get like trafficked or killed or something? Luck. Sheer luck. Okay. Like,
sheer luck.
I mean, I didn't even know you, and you're like, come to my condo with me. And I was like, okay.
Okay, no problem.
I mean, it worked out.
What's the
but-
address?
That's
Right. And I was
No,
like,
no
drunk.
questions asked. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I was drunk
girl.
driving there. I think I had left the bar and you pulled up next to me at a red light and you were like, follow me. And I was like, huh, okay.
Oh, how cute.
Like,
We've been
what?
out on a few dates. So it was
I
little
don't
different.
even know that I knew your middle name. That's like, no. I mean, seriously.
Story for another
I know.
time.
Story. But yeah, I mean, that's a perfect story, right?
Yeah.
Because the
All
whole
right.
point of the funny story is not even for it to be so much funny. It's to tell people that it's to let go of that guilt and that shame, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
life is fucking hard, and being an addict does not make you a bad person. It just
No,
sometimes makes you do really bad things.
You do really dumb shit. Hey, I have never laughed as hard as I do with other sober people talking about the shit that happened and that we did, the crazy ass thinking. Like when I was going to AA meetings in the beginning, that part saved me. How raucous the laughter was. I was like, oh, it's amazing.
Again, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And that is what this question is for,
Yeah.
right? And that's why we like to end the podcast with it, is because it's like, if you're out there and you're listening and you're like, but I've done some fucked up shit. Samesies.
Yeah, so
Like, you know, I think the stories that most of our guests tell are the more tame ones.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't ever tell the absolute worst ones. Okay.
No.
We're trying not to, go to prison here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a perfect story. I
Okay.
think that's a perfect one.
Well, Laura, again, thank you. I can't thank you enough. Such a
Yeah,
pleasure.
thank you.
Again, the
It was
books
great.
are, and I'm
guys
sure
are-
everybody knows, We Are the Luckiest. And of course, Push Off From Here is the newest one. Thanks again. We really appreciate you coming on the show. And
My pleasure.
hopefully we'll do it again sometime.
Yes.
I would
yes,
love
yes,
to.
yes, yes. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you, Laura. We'll
All
talk
right.
to you soon.
Bye.
Hang on with us. If you love the podcast, which I know you do, please like, subscribe,
And hit that notification bell to get
Boom.
notified every time we post.
That's right. Dropping them, baby. Word.